those things, and now we can kind of morph into what we want to be rather than what we need to be?
No, I just think it just depends on the game plan and what the opponent has and making sure we're playing complementary football. And so I guess, when I said that, I meant like, when you need to do something, you have to be able to do it. If you need to run the ball like we did at the end of that game, we got to be able to do it. If we need to throw the ball 40 times, we have to be able to do that. If we need to go tempo, we got to do that. If we need long, sustaining drives and control the clock, we need to be able to do that. I think that's the point. And so up until this point, we've done what we need to do to win, and that's the bottom line, and that's what it's got to be this week as well. But we're not just all of a sudden going to change because of where we are, or the weather conditions, don't get me wrong, do play into it, but a lot of it had to do with the fact that we were just up by 2 scores and trying to make it a 3-score game late in the game, and we continue to churn out yardage and eating up clock. And as that clock's ticking down, you're saying to yourself, we can make it a 3-score game here, it's going to be hard for them to come back and win. And so that was the right thing to do at that time.
Coach, when you look at Indiana, what jumps out? And are you surprised how quick they've been able to build a program over there?
Well, the first thing that jumps out to me is how hard they play, how well they're coached. They play fast. They're explosive team, and just watching them on film, they're run through everybody. I mean, they're just the scores and the way that they play. They're very efficient, and really have done a great job. To your point, I think they're in Coach Signetti's ability to get this thing turned around. And look at his record the last 2 years since he's been there, and a lot of people make comments about what he said about Google him, but Google him. Look at what he's done. I got a lot of respect for what he's put on the field and what he's done. And so these guys play really, really hard, and this is going to be a huge challenge for our team. I mean, this is a really good team, and it's going to be a great atmosphere. I know our guys are looking forward to it, going to Indy. It's been a long time since we've been to Indy, too long. And so, we're going to win the game, and a great opponent. So we got to have a great week of preparation, great focus, and we got to go put it on the field Saturday night.
It's a really unique situation where in some way, shape, or form this game will impact the Heisman voting, maybe not decided, but certainly play a role. What do you make of that?
I don't know. It's a great award that's been around for a long time. I think there's probably an argument to be made somewhere along the line that maybe they should wait to see how the whole season plays out before they decide. But that's not the way the tradition goes, and that's not what they do. So they'll go through that process, and I think the award should go to the best college football player in the country, not necessarily somebody who has the most stats. And that takes a skillful eye to be able to identify that. But I've been very fortunate. I went when I was young, when Ron Dane won it, and got a chance to the Downtown Athletic Club to go and experience what that was like. Drew Brees, I think, was one of the finalists at the time. And even as a young person, it was just such a great experience for me to meet people like Steve Spurrier and some of the former Hopalong Cassidy and some of the former guys who were there at the time. And I remember walking around with a football and having all these football greats sign the football, and I went home and I had it in my room for such a long time, and now for me to go with some of our players is it's an honor. It's a great award. It has a great tradition, and so fortunate to have some of our guys in the mix again this year.
You guys had the decision to decline the penalty when Michigan was on offense last week. What goes into it? Is it just feel for the game? Do you have someone with analytics who's kind of telling you what the right move is? Kind of what goes into a decision like that?
Yeah, we do. We have some analytics that we use as a reference. That's not the decision maker. Ultimately, I'm the final decision maker on that, but I do take a lot into consideration, certainly off what the analytics say, but then also what Matt was thinking on that play, and so we kind of decide what we want to do. And we felt like in that moment right there, it was the right thing to do to decline it and play third down and get off the field.
You guys made the decision to redshirt C.J. Hicks. Now that the postseason starting, is there a plan to get him back involved in the defense?
Yeah, he's got to get back to practicing with the defense and on special teams and kind of get going this week. So get back in the mix. He's kind of been on the scout team and had a good energy and a good work ethic. I thought he did a really good job last week. In some of the success I feel like our offensive line had. against their edge rushers was some of the work that CJ did against our tackles. Gave great effort, had a good attitude this whole run. So, we'll get him back out in the field and figure out where he may fit in.
Right, did Davison have to do any extra for his penalty taken off, or is clinching the game with interception good enough that you get a pass on that?
He gets a pass on that, but no more passes. But it was just kind of one of those things where we have to show great discipline and let our emotions not play with us. But I just think in that moment it was just an outburst of just excitement, and, sort of genuine. So we did run one extra sprint, I guess, on Sunday for it, but it was a big play and a big spot and 4th down, and clinched the game, being up 3 scores, and so. But I thought, again, just with everything that was going on, all the emotion that went into before, during, and then after, as a whole, I thought we handled it like men.
This stretch run you went through last year, knowing that there's a balance between celebrating each game and quickly moving on, how do you handle the emotions of that? Obviously, you guys had such a quick turnaround coming from that huge win. Now you have to go play the number 2 team in the country.
Well, that you referenced last year. We went from Indiana to up north to the 4 of those playoff games, and then we opened up the season with Texas. I mean, you're talking. I know that was a long stretch there, but my point is like back to back monster games. Well, here we go. We're back in it now. We're back into these monster games, and the challenge for our team is now can we do it back to back weeks, and regroup, reload, and get back after it this week, and continue with the same routine. The good news for us, we're going to keep our same routine that we have for a road game. We're going to travel on Friday, get there, and treat it just like any other week. But it is, it's a huge challenge. And first off, the opponent, but just the fact that you have back-to-back weeks here now. So everybody's got to be on their A game.
Brian, Indiana's offense and kind of the way they do their RPO stuff is giving people a lot of trouble. I'm curious just how that conflict with kind of what the linebackers need to see and what they need to do, how much that really kind of impacts things, and whether seeing it last year helps Sonny and our belt going through it.
Yeah, different team, similar attack. Some things that are different. I think Mendoza's playing at a very, very high level right now. And to your point, they do a great job in a lot of different areas. They execute at a high level. The RPOs are a big part of what they do. They put a lot of players in conflict, run-pass conflict. That's what an RPO is, run-pass option. And so it forces guys to play it straight, where if you're running the ball and just throwing drop-back pass, it's a lot easier for, like you said, the linebackers to recognize run, I'm playing the run, pass, I'm playing the pass. This one here puts those guys in conflict, and they do as good a job as anybody in the country at running those plays.
In addition to what Bo Jackson did on the ground and even in the pass game as well, he had some pass protection. Has he started to evolve into that complete running back? I know he played his most snaps of it.
Well, that's it. Yeah, he played his most snaps. I think that was probably the most telling part of all of it. I thought he had a really big explosive run for us early in the game, and that was big. I know that we've all, been working on that, and for that to show up late in the season the way it did, you start to see him really grow into the role. He picked up some guys in protection. I'm sure you saw that. But to me, it was the workload that he was able to manage in that game and handle in that game. Graded out a champion, and so hats off to Coach Laughlin and to Bo and that whole room, because again, it's a build up towards that season. Towards that game, but it's everybody in the room, because Bo probably wouldn't have been able to do that if he didn't have the other guys in the room. It's been a group effort in that room, and it's going to continue to be. But in that moment, he sort of had the hot hand, and we went with Bo.
Active eBay account, because that football might be worth a lot of money.
Which football?
The Heisman signed football.
Oh.
Might be good for NIL.
Yeah, I don't know where that ball is, and I don't have an eBay account now. You said eBay, that's a throwback.
It still exists. I know you don't get out of the building much, but that still exists. Last year, Will kind of became the standard of what I think a lot of people that watch Ohio State, like, this is what a quarterback has to be. And Julian, personality-wise, seems so different throughout the spring and summer, and now you start to see he's exactly right for this team. What makes Julian's personality the right fit? Because it seems like he's just so comfortable and unfazed by everything. But like at times, I think that can maybe be off-putting. It's almost like, oh, he's too too calm?
Well, I think as a quarterback, one of the things you have to do is that there's certain things that are non-negotiables. And then there's certain things that you have to make sure that you're doing that's authentic to you. You know, I think it's sort of like maybe being a head coach, you know. But for a quarterback, I mean, the first thing is you have to have command. If you don't have command of everything that's going on, if the guys in that huddle don't know that you know exactly what's going on, then it's just, you lose trust. And so that competency is like really high level. He's very intelligent. And that's one thing that he probably got a chance to watch with Will. Both he and Will, like the minute they walk in that huddle, everybody in that huddle knows that this guy knows what's going on. He's watched his film. He's done his preparation. You know, some of these calls that we have are long calls, and he rips them off. And like, I get more fired up sometimes about the play call when we break the huddle than anything else. I mean, he does a great job with that. And he has his routine. You watch him. He walks out of the huddle. He gets his mind straight, gets the call, walks into the huddle, gives the information. They break the huddle, and then he has his post-snap routine. And he goes through it, and it's just very methodical the way he does it. But, you know, I think it was written that, you know, that was the first time he'd ever played in snow. It's the first time he'd ever played in that rivalry, you know. And, I mean, that started in the Texas game early on, like you said. You know, first game in the snow, first game in a rivalry game. Was it his first throw or second throw as an interception? Like, and the way he played from there on out was special to me. I just think that he has a good way of just not panicking. He sees it. The ball comes out quick. The guys believe in him, and he has a special talent of putting the ball on time with accuracy. Then again, you know, he made a play with his feet. You know, that was a big third down convert. Like, all of those third down conversions to me were critical. He made some really good throws to keep those drives alive. I think we were like 11 of 17 or maybe something close to that. And you know, he got a couple of those on the sneaks, and he had the scramble, and then obviously the conversions throwing the ball. Then in the red area, you know, the throw to Brandon at the end of the half was critical and helped, especially winning the middle 8. So that's winning football. But, you know, here we go. We're at it again now, Big Ten championship, so he's got to be on. Like, that game's over with, and he'll learn from it, he'll grow from it, and try to use a lot of that as confidence moving forward, because every time you accomplish these things, you do build confidence, but there's also things in there we got to continue to grow from, and new challenges coming.
Ryan, after having played some quarterbacks maybe less experienced, how noticeable when you watch somebody like Fernando Mendoza and then sort of the years of starting experience he has? And
Good player, very accurate. I guess I'll call it sneaky athletic. You know, when you look at him, maybe you don't think dual threat, but he makes a lot of plays with his feet, and you can tell he's very intelligent. He can see the field, and you know, makes good decisions, and plays situational football. So. Like you said, you know, a guy who's got a lot of experience, and you know, the game seems to move slow for him when he's out there.
Another Heisman question. You said it should be the best player, not necessarily the player with the stats. You could make a case it's Jeremiah Smith if that's the way you look at it. I mean, if you had a vote, I'm putting you on the spot here, if you had a vote, you got two legitimate contenders, who would you pick? And in terms of Julian, you know, how would you see him grow the most, I guess?
I'd vote for them both, so don't get me in trouble, Bill. And I put Carnell right there, too. I mean, these guys are tight. Caleb Downs be right in there. Like, I mean, these guys are really good football players. Arvell Reese, I mean, yeah, I can go on and on, you know. And but in terms of the growth that, with Julian, it's just, maybe he doesn't look different to you, but the guy who played against Texas and the guy who came off that field on Saturday look like two different people to me. Just the look in his eye. It's just, I guess, like when you send a sailor out to sea and he comes back, he looks different. Or when you send a young man, you know, to college and he comes back 4 years later, he looks different. Like, from that game to where he is now, he just, you know, more experienced, more mature, just a different look in his eye, different walk, the way he talks, the way he moves, everything about it. And it's a tribute to the work he's put in, and the guys in the team believe in him.
Ryan, it was said on the television broadcast that you guys had lost communications. I don't know if it was only coach to player, if it was coach to coach, or across the board, but how did you guys navigate that? Was Brian still able to call plays? Did you have to call plays for a moment? Just how did you work through that?
Yeah, we lost communication there in the second half, but the good news was that earlier that week, I thought there may be an inkling that may happen, so we had a plan for it. we had a wristband plan, and then we would bring Julian over, and I was, just getting us through it until we got the headsets back up and running, which took a little while to get done. But yeah, just by chance, we had a plan for it, and so we were ready to go when it happened.
More on Julian. It seemed like the most excited you were during that game was during his first down scramble. Although there was a time in life when you want your quarterback to throw the ball away, but it seems like that's evolved throughout the years. Why did you like that play so much, and what does that show you about your quarterback in those moments where they just go get it in a moment like that where they have to have
Well,
it?
it's winning football. They did a great job. They brought a boundary blitz. Actually, Julian saw it, picked it up with the protection check, and the line in the back picked it up great. But he didn't quite see the picture great and found himself flush to the right. But when you can make those plays with your feet, like that's winning football. That's how you keep the chains moving. And every first down in every game, but in that game in particular, is a big deal. And so, he was throwing the ball well, but when you can, that's like the X factor when the quarterback can run like that, and he has that ability. And so a big first down. They're all first downs. I mean, all first downs are big in that game, but that was a big one. It kept the chains moving, and it was big for him to get that one.
Sorry to interrupt. Inkling? Why did you have that inkling?
Oh, we're just ready for everything. Yeah, you just got to be ready for anything. And when you go into any big game, you're always trying to put contingency plans in place for anything that could possibly happen. And so, that was in here on Friday, and I think some of the guys in the staff were looking at me sideways, like, "Why would you think that would happen?" I said, "I don't know. We just got to be ready and be ready for anything." It's funny how your mind works.
Ryan, you mentioned the Big Ten championship game earlier, and some of the players were talking about the opportunity, even last week, the opportunity to get to Indy. Why is this such a big deal? Maybe even beyond just, hey, we have a chance to win a trophy we haven't won in a while. It seems like this has been on their minds after maybe last year.
Yeah, we wanted to get to Indy, and certainly that was something that that these guys haven't done. They haven't been there, haven't played in this game before, and it's an electric atmosphere. It's a great venue, and so these guys want this opportunity, and this was on the list of our goals every year. And you can go 11-0 and then have the biggest games of the year show up, and now here we go. Now we got a chance to get some hardware, and so there's a lot at stake here. There's a Big Ten championship at stake. Being the one seed in the CFP. There's a lot at stake. So our guys are going to have a great week of practice, locked in, and know this is a big step forward as we look to finish out the season the way we want to get it done.
There's been a lot of talk about playing these games now that there's this longer playoff, and I know you've been asked about it before, but now that you're about to go do it before a playoff, do you have more thoughts on if this is the right way to go about it?
No, not right now. Not right now. No, we're just going to go win the game, and focus on that part of it. That's it. That's the way our mindset is, and it's probably worth a conversation at the end of the season, though. Yeah.
Ryan, I asked you after the win in 2019 over Michigan what your initial emotions were. Was it relief or happiness? You said relief, not even close. What about this time?
Yeah, I would say that was on the list of things. Yeah, but I was happy for the players. I was happy for the coaches and for the fans. Like I said in the post-game conference or post-game press conference, every game matters around here, and certainly that one matters the most during the regular season and in every season. And so for us to win that game certainly is a big responsibility. So I think that's probably the thing that I thought about the most, and just see the joy in everybody's face after the game.
Thank you. Just one quick follow. You were there at that Heisman ceremony. What was that, 99?
Yeah, it was right around then.
Why were you there?
Well, my stepfather actually was a Heisman Trophy voter at the time, and so he took me to the New York City that weekend. Yeah.
Last week you used a great analogy, because I've covered auto racing forever. You talk about nitrous and then regular fuel.
Yeah.
Would you say that Carnell and Jeremiah are nitrous? How would you describe them? Because they do make the car look like it's running even faster sometimes. I mean, when Julian's out there and stuff. I mean, what was it like to see them out there on the field again, and what it brought to the aura of the situation?
Yeah. Well, first off, when those guys are on the field, they make everybody on the field better. Everybody, from the tackle to the guard to the tight end to the running back, because of the plays they make and because of how they affect the defense. You know, if you think you're just going to, have one guy on them the whole game, it's going to be a challenge. There's no question. I think that's no mystery. But, to me, for those guys, it's also like a mindset for the whole offense and the whole team. When you see them walk out, it just gives everybody a certain level of confidence because they know how special players they are. Yep.
Does that go into why you called the first 2 play calls that you guys called?
It was just, we talk about those things over and over again, and we felt like it was the right thing to do at the time. It didn't work, but they're all good plays, and but you gotta execute them, So yeah. Yeah, so they came out of the game like we're in a better place now than we were last week. So looking for a full week of work and go from there. Yeah, thanks, guys.